Before buying a gas turbocharged engine in your half-ton pickup trucks, there are 5 things that you guys should probably know. Welcome back, I'm Alex. With us today we have the most popular gas turbocharged engine, the lovely 3.5 liter EcoBoost, and well, allegedly this is the best-selling engine in these F-150 trucks. And it's not alone. Of the 14 engines available in a half-ton truck, 9 of them are turbocharged engine, roughly 65%. So there are a lot of gas turbocharged engines being sold right now in a half-ton. And based on those stats alone, the average person is probably buying a gas turbocharged engine in their half-ton pickup truck. And today I want to talk about 5 things that you guys should be aware of before you buy one of these engines. I'm not taking a shot at turbocharged engines. They certainly have their place, and well, this 3.5 EcoBoost is the oldest of the segment, 15 years of real-world use, and it has proven to be a pretty good engine. And turbocharged engines like this 3.5 EcoBoost have a ton of power. This engine pretty much flatlined the rest of the competition on my towing loop. The 3.4 liter iForce Max hybrid twin turbocharged engine also crushed my my towing loop. When it comes to pulling power, torque generation, this thing is phenomenal. I can't say enough good things about how well it's been pulling this trailer. And when these engines are unloaded, they generally get pretty decent fuel economy, so there is certainly a place for turbocharged engines in these half-ton trucks. So yes, there is often a lot of power and performance that comes along with these gas turbocharged engines, but we need to remember that they are rather complex beasts, and no longer are these just simple pushrod naturally aspirated V8 engines under your half-ton pickup truck's hood here. And with that complexity comes a couple of things that I think are important to anyone who owns one of these engines. The first thing I think that is very important when owning a gas turbocharged engine is maintenance, specifically oil changes. A turbocharger can rotate at times well above 100,000 RPM, and the only thing stopping that turbine shaft spinning into the stratosphere is a very, very thin film of oil. The turbine shaft in your turbo spinning at 100,000 RPM does not spin on bearings, rather it floats on a thin film of oil. So if there's any debris or issues with that oil, it is going to put premature wear on the turbo. And typically turbos are the first spot to receive wear when oil has gone bad or there's debris in the oil. So that's why it's very important to make sure that you're using high quality oil as well as a high quality oil filter. And I would change my oil if I owned a turbocharged engine no later than like 5,000 miles, probably sooner. And speaking of protecting your engine, that's where today's sponsor, NordVPN, comes in to protect your electronics, because when you're spending the big bucks on these fancy gas turbocharged engines and buying all the truck parts that your wife probably told you not to buy, I know personally some of those sites can be a little bit sketchy. And when you're putting in credit card information, passwords, shipping addresses, you want to make sure you're protected. And that's one reason why I use NordVPN. When it's turned on, all of your internet traffic is encrypted, which keeps your login and purchases safe, especially if you're on public Wi-Fi or traveling. NordVPN also has threat protection, which can help block malicious sites and detect fraudulent shops before they become a problem. I just open the app, hit connect, and I'm protected. It works on your phone, laptop, and tablet, and you can protect multiple devices at the same time. To get a 2-year plan with 4 extra months, head over to nordvpn.com/GettyAdventures. That link will be down at the top of the description, as well as in the pinned comment. Don't leave yourself unprotected when surfing the web. And thank you to NordVPN for sponsoring this channel. Let's get back to the video. I would probably not rely on the oil life interval that the truck gives you, primarily because gas turbocharged engines tend to run pretty rich while in boost. Also, when they're getting up to temperature, they also run pretty rich, and some of that fuel makes its way past the rings and into your oil. So gas turbocharged engines tend to dilute their oil with fuel a little bit quicker. And once we have a certain percentage of fuel diluting our oil is going to lose some viscosity, lose some of that protectiveness to our critical engine components, specifically our turbocharger, which is usually the first component to receive premature wear when the oil is not doing what it's supposed to do. Also, your engine main bearings. So it is very important to change your oil in a timely manner with a gas turbocharged engine. So I think the saying goes, oil is cheap and engines are not. Now, myself personally, I change my oil on my 6.4 HEMI every 4,500 miles, which might be a little bit early, but again, I just want to make sure that engine is going to run a good long time. And the best thing you can do for any engine is use high quality oil and change your oil on a timely manner. But specifically on turbocharged engines, not doing so, I feel like leads to greater consequences than something like a naturally aspirated engine. The second thing you should know before buying a gas turbocharged engine is fuel economy. When these trucks are unloaded, driving at slower speeds under light acceleration, they indeed are going to get some pretty decent fuel economy, maybe even impressive fuel economy out of a full-size truck that weighs 5,000 pounds. But when these engines are in boost when under load, you can kiss that fuel economy goodbye. An engine, even a dirty engine like the one we have with us today here, is essentially just like a big air pump. The more air we can shove into it and push out of it, typically the more power we're going to make. And a naturally aspirated engine is limited on how much air it can pull into the engine based upon atmospheric pressure. So in order for a naturally aspirated engine to make more power, either it has to physically get bigger or it has to rotate faster. A turbocharged engine, it's a little bit different. Turbocharged engine uses its turbos to push or force more air into the cylinders. The air density is greater. Sometimes we're rocking like 20, 25 PSI of boost going into these engines. And the more air you can shove into the engine, the more power you're going to make. And that's why we see these smaller displacement turbocharged engines acting a lot like larger displacement naturally aspirated engines. And well, this 3.5 liter EcoBoost is making 500 pound-feet of torque, whereas something like the 5.7 liter HEMI, a much larger engine, is only making 410 pound-feet of torque. And it's because this 3.5 liter EcoBoost can push more air into the engine. And this is where fuel economy comes into play, because yes, we can shove a heck of a lot more air down the throat of this engine, but a gasoline engine likes to run at a very specific air-fuel mixture. So when we put more air in the engine, all that extra air needs to be met with extra fuel. So when these engines are in boost or pushing more air into the cylinders, they drink a lot of fuel in order to maintain that air-fuel mixture. And these 1,500 trucks are not the lightest vehicles around, usually floating around 5,000 pounds. So when we are under heavier acceleration or going at higher speeds, we often see these smaller displacement turbocharged engines having to be in boost to make enough power or torque to turn the wheels at the desired rate. And that means we are burning a lot more fuel, oftentimes more than a bigger displacement V8 engine. Taking my real world fuel economy loop as an example, because there is a good chunk more higher speed driving, country driving, highway driving, and we see that a couple of V8 engines are actually more efficient than some of the smaller displacement turbocharged engines. So anytime you're gonna have to spool up your turbos or push boost into your engine, you're probably going to see a substantial drop in fuel economy. And this could be as small as heading into a decent headwind or going over some hilly terrain. Okay, so we're getting to the base, and right away, you guys can see we are starting to push some boost. There we go. Yeah, you guys can see we're pushing a good amount of boost into this engine to get over this ridge, and that's exactly what I'm talking about. And sustained boost, which is exactly what we're seeing right now, typically means sustained increased fuel economy. You guys can see we've already dropped to 23.6, almost losing already at 1 mile per gallon, and we're just getting started on the highway here. The biggest display of poor fuel economy with these turbocharged engines is when they are towing. And with my 8,000 pound enclosed trailer on my towing loop, every single V8 engine was more efficient when towing this trailer than any turbocharged engine. And that's not true, because I forgot about the 5.7 liter HEMI, kind of shit in the bed here and not having that good fuel economy. But we can see the V8 engines, for the most part, are more efficient than our turbocharged engines while towing my 8,000-pound trailer, and I think it's a pretty clear pattern here. Now, as I mentioned, turbocharged engines towed this trailer exceptionally well, but with a relatively heavy trailer like this with some large wind frontage, those turbocharged engines are continuously pushing boost and they are drinking a ton of fuel. So if fuel economy was a big factor into you wanting or end up buying a gas turbocharged engine, for the most part, they will be more efficient than a bigger displacement V8. However, understand that when these engines are under load, even a slight load, and those turbos have to spool up, your fuel economy is going to drop. And if you're towing, it's gonna drop like a rock. The third thing you should probably be aware of when it comes to these turbocharged engines is just the complexity that surrounds these engines. And I'm not gonna say they have a higher failure rate, but the potential failure points are certainly greater on turbocharged engines than a naturally aspirated V8. I mean, look at this engine bay, for example. Yes, it's rather dirty. I apologize about that. But you can see we got air piping going everywhere. So here's our air intake, one going down to this turbo, another one going down to this turbo. This is our boost line going to our intercooler, which is right in here. And then eventually that air gets funneled back into the engine. So there's just a lot going on. We got sensors monitoring air pressures, boost pressures. I mean, that looks like a little EGR cooler right there if I had to guess. You know, just visually you can see there's a lot going on here. And, you know, again, I don't want to say that this is going to cause more chance of engine failure, but I would say that there is more chance of things going wrong with this engine. And it could just be little things like one of these air clamps coming loose or breaking, and then you lose your boost and you got to go to the dealership, whoever repairs your vehicle. And it could just be a simple repair, but it's time, money wasted, where I feel like a V8 engine is just simpler and potentially have less repairs over the lifetime of the engine. With that being said, there are plenty of high mileage 3.5 liter EcoBoost engines out there, and this 3.5 EcoBoost at least has proven that it can last. But I think the overall repair bill of the lifetime of the engine is probably going to be less with a naturally aspirated V8 engine over something like this 3.5 liter EcoBoost. The naturally aspirated V8 engine, it's a simpler engine, it's easier to work on, and there are simply just less things to go wrong. So I don't think it's inappropriate to say that over the lifetime of the engine, if you go with a turbocharged engine, you'll probably end up with more repair costs. But ultimately, like every 1500, it just depends on what you're looking for out of the truck. If you want one of the best towing engines to tow your 30-foot camper trailer, the 3.5 EcoBoost is that engine, and maybe you're willing to put up with some extra repair costs down the road. So again, there's nothing wrong with a turbocharged engine necessarily, but there are some considerations that you should probably be aware of. The fourth thing to consider about a gas turbocharged engine is idle time. Usually idling a gas turbocharged engine is harder on it than a naturally aspirated V8 engine because the turbo relies on oil flow and temperature to stay healthy. Oftentimes at idle, oil pressure and exhaust heat aren't ideal, which can allow oil to coke up inside the turbo over time. A big naturally aspirated V8 engine just doesn't have to worry about this. And from my understanding, I believe almost every single engine in the 1500 segment now uses some kind of variable displacement oil pump to help lower fuel economy and emissions, meaning that at idle, a lot of these engines are just flowing the bare minimum amount of oil. As we mentioned earlier, gas turbocharged engines are more prone to fuel diluting the oil, and extended idle time makes it worse because as these engines are idling, the engine cools, the fuel mixture richens, and some of that unburnt fuel has a higher likelihood of washing past the piston rings and getting into your oil. At the end of the day, idling any engine, whether it's a naturally aspirated V8 or a turbocharged engine, is really not healthy. But if I did own a turbocharged engine, I would try and limit my idle time as much as possible. The fifth thing, or the last thing that I want to talk about in terms of owning a gas turbocharged engine, sort of falls in line with idling actually, is short trips. Gas turbocharged engines tend not to fare as well with frequent short trips compared to a naturally aspirated engine. So first of all, a turbocharged gas engine tends to take a little bit longer to get fully up to operating temperature versus a naturally aspirated engine. And because of this, it's going to take longer for the oil to get up to operating spec or operating temperature. And usually most engine wear occurs when the engine is not in operating temperature. So if you're just running consistent short trips, never really getting these turbocharged engines into its full operating temperature, you run the risk of putting more wear on these engines, whereas again, a naturally aspirated V8 engine with less thermal complexities tends to get up to a operating temperature much quicker. Secondly, when you're running short trips and these engines never really get up to full operating temperature, they tend to run a little bit richer, and we have beaten home this point, but I'll say it again, when we are running a richer air fuel mixture in these turbocharged engines, there is a greater likelihood of fuel getting in your oil and causing dilution. So if you're running 5,000 miles of highway driving versus 5,000 miles of short trips in the city, I would guess you're more likely to see premature wear on the engine that's doing all of those short trips. Lastly, with all these modern turbo engines being direct injection, it is a perfect breeding ground for increased carbon deposits on your intake as well as your intake valve from excess idling, as well as short trips, because we have low airflow as well as combustion temperatures being pretty low, not being able to burn up that excess carbon. Whereas when we have longer driving times, combustion temperatures come up, airflow comes up, and we're less likely to have carbon deposits on your intake as well as your intake valve. So those are 5 things that I think every buyer of a gas turbocharged engine should at least be aware of. And I think if you are, it should help lead to a longer lasting, longer running gas turbocharged engine, which I think everybody wants. Now, again, it's not like if you change your oil at 6,000 miles versus 5,000 miles, it's gonna be catastrophic. You'll probably end up being just fine. But like all things in life, little habits tend to add up to big results down the road. So if you do change your oil on a very timely manner at, let's say, 5,000 miles, odds are you're gonna have a cleaner, smoother, better running engine for more years to come. And well, fellas, with the price of these frickin' trucks these days, why wouldn't you want to try and extend the life of the engine? I think the key takeaway here is just that no longer do we have simple pushrod port injection V8s under these hoods. These engines are a little bit more complex, and it means that oftentimes you're gonna have to pay just a little bit more attention into how you're driving, your driving habits, as well as potentially putting in some higher quality oil and maybe spending a little bit more money on that higher quality oil. And yes, I do have an affiliation with AMSOIL. You can get 25% off if you become one of my preferred customers. However, I'm not trying to push that onto you guys for you guys to buy more oil from me. I just want you guys to have long lasting engines. I don't care if you go to Ford and buy their oil. Just put high quality oil into these turbocharged engines, and I think you'll be happy with it. Well, fellas, like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, gas turbocharged engines, they're pretty popular, and they're probably only going to get more popular whether you like it or not. Myself, I'm a little bit of an old school guy. I like a good naturally aspirated V8, but maybe that's just me. Let me know what you guys think. Do you think I missed something, or do you agree with what I said? If you did like the video, don't forget to leave that thumbs up. And if you like cool stuff like this, do not forget to subscribe. We'd love to have you on board. Anyways, enough of me. We'll see you in the next freaking video.